Hi everyone, I'm the Plant Propagator and welcome to my channel. Today it is the middle to late November. It's just before Thanksgiving in Southwest Florida, and today is the type of day that reminds me of how lucky I am to be living here in Southwest Florida. It is 81 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 27 degrees Celsius. Just a beautiful day. Few clouds in the sky, sun, not too hot, low humidity. I wish it was higher because my orchids would like it more if it was higher humidity, but just a beautiful, beautiful day. What I want to share with you today is a couple of things. I want to show you some of my blooms, and I think I've shared these blooms with you before, but I want to share them with you again and also share a story with you. And then I want to talk about the Maikai challenge, which is a challenge that I put out to the small breeding group that I organized that's part of my AOS affiliated society. So first of all, let me talk about some of the blooms on some of the plants. And this, what I want to do is share with you the results of a meeting, and what I hope you can see is ribbons that are on my orchids here. And these are ribbons that are passed out by my affiliated society. There's some judging that goes on. This is not AOS, American Orchid Society approved judging. This is just a membership that gets together and votes on the orchids that they like, the orchid flowers that they like the best from the ones that the people bring in. And there were a lot of orchids and a lot of people at our last Gulf Coast Orchid Alliance meeting, which was this past week. And I brought a lot of them in. I was real excited about this Cattleya right here. I actually cleaned it up. Had looking pretty good. It was a new, these are new blooms on this plant. Really fragrant, very nice. I was just really excited about it. And it, of course, there were people that brought in these huge, beautiful flowering Cattleyas that it just made mine look silly, and that's fine. And I was just happy to be there. And these other plants were so amazing. It really was remarkable. But what I did is I brought in also a few of my other plants. I brought in a catasetum that's right here, and the way that these orchids, they're divided into the different categories, the different genera. And the catasetum is in the, I think it's in the other species category, no, other genera category. And there's a few that are lumped together in that. And I just brought it in because it's a plant that I really like. So this is After Dark Black Pearl. It has really, really dark flowers. It's very fragrant. But the flowers were still looking pretty good. And the plant itself looks okay, but there's no leaves on it because it's deciduous. So these things will lose the leaves. I have another catasetum that is starting to put out a bloom spike that still has some leaves, but what happens is at the end of the growing season, the leaves start looking ratty because they then turn yellow and fall off. Anyway, I was surprised there was one other catasetum was brought in, but there's all the other ones in the other genera category that were on the same table as this one, and I was very surprised that I won first prize in the voting. So yay, it doesn't mean anything, but yeah, I guess it does a little bit to me. The other thing that I'm excited about is my Oncidium. And this is an Oncidium that I've had that I actually got at my affiliated society. I think it was a raffle. So at every meeting there's raffles, and you pay your money and they bring in these small plants. And I've had that plant that was small, and that's an Oncidium. It's Sweet 16 prepossessing. And I grew it, and I was happy with it. But again, I didn't clean up the catasetum. I didn't clean up the Oncidium. But I was surprised that it won a second place. Again, this is just voting in the membership. But then it also got the big frilly green ribbon is a special commendation for flower quality. You know, I had no idea. I'm not a judge. I don't know what people are looking for, but the people that do found this flower really nice. I was told that the flowers look nice. They're flat. They're symmetrical, and they present very well. The thing is with this is that this is my first bloom on this. I really didn't know what to look like. I'm not a real Oncidium grower. I do have some, sure, but the Cattleyas is what I focused my attention on. But this plant did really well. But the leaves you can see they're starting to turn yellow a little bit. I didn't clean them up. I didn't trim them. I didn't do anything to the plant. It's in a small pot. I think it's in a 3-inch pot. And it's the same pot that that it was in when I received it. So it does need to be repotted. It's putting out some new leaves. And so I do need to put it in a bigger pot. But I just kind of put it on the bottom shelf. The Oncidium's maybe like a little less light. I put it on the bottom part of my pergola where it's a little bit more shaded, and I just included it with the regular fertilizer watering regime that I apply to all my other plants. And it's done well. Hurricane Ian knocked some of the flower spikes off the top. Some of the side branches, it knocked them off. And I didn't think there was anything special about it, but apparently to those people that have more of an eye for it, there was, or maybe they just wanted to see me happy. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm really happy about that. So a couple of award winners, and it's a little thing, but it's still fun to get these awards. Okay, moving on then. I want to tell you a little bit about the Maikai challenge, and this is Maikai. This is a real common orchid, and it's so common that I have quite a few of these. I have one right here, and I have one on the opposite side of the table. They have these really small, just real dainty, nice flowers, not fragrant. But they are very prolific. They are, there's a lot of them. The plants themselves are very prolific. The plants themselves can get big. There was one person at the meeting that brought in a huge Maikai that must have been in a 15 or 20-inch pot. They grow on trees. They're just incredibly aggressive. I have one of the other plants that I have, not these two. I have it hanging on my fence, and the roots grow out and grabbed onto the vinyl fence. So they just do really well in this environment, and they grow nicely. This is the result, and they're really common. This one, what I was going to say is this one is from Anne Marie. So thank you very much, Anne Marie. And that one is from Maria. Different people. So thank you very much, Maria. And then I have one on my front lanai that's from John, and so they're really common. I got to start giving these things away now. They're really they start growing. They fill up their pots. They grow. I got some stuck on my palm trees in the front too. They're very very aggressive plants. They're very prolific. Okay, so back to this the Maikai challenge. What I did last week was I challenged the members of my breeding group, and that's associated with my local society, with my affiliated orchid society, and that group is called BOING, which is Breeding Orchids by Intelligent but Naive Growers. So we're more hobby breeders than anything. And so I challenge them. We have some people that have been doing crosses, that have been getting capsules to me, and things have been going really well. And there's a few others that have been a little slow to get moving on this. So I put out to everyone the Maikai challenge, because so many people have this plant. I think everyone in our group has this plant, and they're all blooming, as you can tell, this time of year. So this is blooming, that one's blooming, the one on the front lanai is blooming. They're blooming this time of year, and they put out multiple flowers. So it seemed like it was a good opportunity to say, okay, try crossing these flowers with some of your other other members, some of your other members of the Cattleya Alliance, and just see what we get, to see whether we can get any capsules. And again, because there's so many flowers on this, you can play and you can try and you can do a lot of crossing just to see if anything takes. Now, a lot of times with crossing, what you get is a lot of times you don't get a successful cross. So you'll make a cross, the flower and the seed capsule will fall off immediately. But you need to try a lot of different crosses and a lot of different things in order to be successful at this. So this seemed to be a really good opportunity for this time of year to say, okay, you have some your Maikai, and again, I've seen these plants that have 25, 50, 100 flowers or more. So there's a lot of practicing that you can do on Maikai with all of these flowers available. Maikai is, I should also mention that this is a Brassavola nodosa times a Guarianthe, I'm not going to remember. I don't remember the species. I'll find it and add it. So it's a cross, and it's compatible with a lot of the different Cattleyas, with the Brassavolas, with everything. Again, in this, in the Cattleya Alliance. But so what I think it's just a good opportunity to try things from a broad range of different flowers, from the big ones to the small ones to really everything, just to see what happens. I also should say that on this plant right here that I showed you, so here's the flowers that are on this plant right now. Here's some new flowers right here that are coming out, and right in the middle here is a seed capsule from a cross that I made about a month and a half ago. So this looks like it's working. So we'll see how all of this goes. So the capsule, the thing's swelled up pretty nicely, and it's going to be a few months. Actually, these guys, it takes about 4 to 5 months for the capsule to become mature enough for me to take it in the laboratory and then flask the seed in that capsule. So I think in 4 to 5 months, because everyone in the group is making crosses, I'm going to be really busy, which is great. So we're going to generate a lot of different things. I looked up on a website that I like to use called Orchid Roots, that tells the background. Orchid Roots are kind of the roots of the backgrounds of all these different orchids. It's free online tool that's available, and you can see the parents of this. You can also see progeny that has been made and registered to this. And this works well. Maikai from the website has been shown to be a really good male or female parent. I'm going to be using it as a female parent here, just because that's what we have, is all these flowers. I don't want to use it to cross onto something where I have 2 or 3 flowers of one of my other Cattleyas. The other thing about Maikai is that there's just no fragrance, which is not what I like to normally work with in my breeding program. So there's no fragrance here, but what we'll do is I'll try crossing some of these big frilly Cattleyas onto this little guy and see what happens. And it'll give you really, from what I've seen and looking on the crosses that have been made on Orchid Roots, you can see that it creates these crosses make really nice hybrids that are predictable. So it'll be an intermediate sized flower with some of the color of both. It'll retain probably maybe some of the spotting, but the purple lip and that the line that goes through the middle of the flower will probably be seen in the progeny, but I don't know. Okay, so I wanted to explain to you this challenge. I also wanted to share with you one of the reasons we're doing this is that we had at our last orchid meeting, we had a speaker, and who was very informative and told us a lot about orchid breeding. And he started out as a hobbyist grower, but now he's become a really major contributor to orchid breeding programs. So Alan Black, who lives in Virginia, actually attended through Zoom our members meeting. and of the breeding group, and he was very helpful and informative, and he produces a lot of Brassavola hybrids. So one of their challenges, I did a Brassavola or Allen Black challenge, which is if anyone uses Brassavola nodosa as one of the parents, which are also blooming this time of year, and a lot of people have that in their collection. So Alan was very helpful, and he really contributed greatly. And Alan also contributed a nice article to the American Orchid Society magazines that, if you're a member, you have access to. And he talks about all of the various aspects of breeding. So this is a little push to join the American Orchid Society so you can access this information. There's a lot of breeders that contributed to this special issue, and it's a great issue. And Alan's article was great, and he was very enthusiastic about having us do orchid breeding, and he was incredibly helpful. And as most of the orchid breeders, he likes to talk and exchange information and help the hobbyists so that we can enter into the orchid breeding world. Okay, so what I want to do now, and I'm sorry that went on a little longer than I thought it would, but what I want to do now is try some crosses onto Maikai. And what I'm going to do, and I might have to break up and change the camera view and go into this from a little bit of a different angle so you can see what's going on. Maikai flowers are really small, and it's kind of hard to see what's going on, and I prefer to use, again, the big flowers. So I'll try to get in and show you some of these things from a little closer. So one of the things that I like to do, I like to remove the pollinia from the flowers that I'm pollinating onto. It may or may not be necessary, but I like to do this to prevent any kind of pollen or pollinia contamination. And I need to put my glasses on here in order to see what I'm doing, because these flowers are really very small. Most people, I should mention, use a toothpick to actually get in here and do this. I have these really nice forceps, really pointy, from in there. The brand is Aesculap. So it's a German brand. You can't get these anymore. I have them. I use them for breeding. I love them. Anyway, so what you do is you get into the flower here. Just going to see if I can get in there. And again, the parts here are really small. So you get into the flower, and I'll probably have to shift to a different camera in order for you to see this. And you push up on the pollen on the anther cap in order to extract the anther cap that contains the pollinia. And the pollinia are right inside the anther cap, and they are yellow. And those anthers, those pollinia, will actually, right now, they're sticking to these forceps. So there probably are 2 pollinia in there, and I think they're sticking to the forceps. Because this flower is so small, the pollinia is real small. Now, if I were to pollinate, what you do is you reach back in behind where the anther cap, behind where the anther cap was taken off and the pollinia were removed, and right back behind that area is where the stigmatic surface is, and you press the pollinia up against that stigmatic surface, which is sticky, and that is a successful cross. So what I want to do is the first cross that I'm going to make is with a cross with this plant. So this is Burana Beauty right here, and let me put this out. Normally what I do is I collect the pollinia and I put them in these small microfuge tubes, and these are just laboratory microfuge tubes, and then I put the microfuge tubes in these microfuge tube storage boxes it's in a grid system. So the top left is A1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then this is B. C, D, E, F, G. And so this grid system, and then I record this in just notes on my phone. So I know what pollinia is in each of these tubes that are in this different locations and when it was collected. And then I store this, I close this pollinia box, and I store it in my refrigerator. And pollinia will store for about a year. I'm going to be using some today that have been stored for almost 2 years. So we'll see how these crosses go. All right. So anyway, let me do the extraction of the pollinia from Burana Beauty right here. Oh, I don't want to knock these other flowers off. Okay. All right. And the thing is, so what you'll normally do for this is you'll normally use a toothpick. And what I'm going to do right now is kind of not, it's a little gross, but this is what I do. And I do this because if you use the same instrument without cleaning it off in some way, you might get pollinia or pollen from pollinia from the previous ones that you grabbed, and that's pollen contamination, and you don't want that. So if you're doing these with a toothpick, which is what most people use, just use a fresh toothpick each time you get the pollinia off. So we'll do the same type of thing here as we lift up on the pollen cap, and these are old flowers. So so this anther cap just fell off because the flower's a little older. I hope the pollinia is still good in here, but you pull them out. All right, so this one has a lot of pollinia. So that there may even have 4 pollinia in there. So there's one on the end of this forceps, and I'm not grabbing it. Sometimes you have to, but it's just sticking to the end of the forceps because pollinia is sticky and the stigmatic surface is sticky. And so what you do is you then reach back up in here, and the pollinium is singular, pollinia is plural, but the pollinium just came right off and stuck to the back of the stigmatic surface of this flower. The last thing to do on this or with this cross is to make sure that you label. So I have these labels that I use that are really that you can write everything on. They're big labels here. When you make the cross, you write the name of the seed or the female parent first. So this is Maikai. And then I cross this with Burana Beauty. And then the last thing that you put down here is the date. Okay, to hang this thing, you just put this around the back of the flower and loop it through, and yeah, figures. It's not working for me today. It's a smaller flower, but still, it shouldn't. I mean, and people use tiny flowers for this. It's amazing what people can do. Maybe this is more of of activity for the young that have nimble fingers and eyes that can see everything that's going on. Anyway, so that's there, and that's all good, and we'll see how it goes. So and what happens when you successfully pollinate is that the flower fades really quickly. So on this successful cross right here, this is the remnant of the flower, and it fades just very, very quickly. And what happens is you will trash your flowers. Sometimes even when you just remove the pollinia, your flowers will fade very, very quickly. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But definitely when you have a successful cross, the flowers fade, senesce very, very quickly as you get capsule formation here. Okay, so that's all I have for today. I hope you join me in the Maikai challenge. I hope it was interesting to you to see how to make this cross and how things work in this line. So, and if you like my video and you want to keep on seeing them, it would help me out if you could click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel. All right, that's it for today. Happy propagating.